Presidential Committee on Free Trade Agreements submits report. Federal government phases out old yellow card. NAFDAC suspends implementation of new tariffs. Hello and welcome to Panorama on the network service of the NTA. I am Fatima Umar Buba. And we begin. The Presidential Technical Committee set up to assess the impact and readiness for the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement has submitted its report. While receiving the report, President Muhammadu Buhari said Africa must have a manufacturing agenda that not only promotes production and job opportunities and must also guarantee free movement of made-in-Africa goods if the agreement is to succeed. Correspondent Adamu Sambo has the report.
Our position is very simple. We support free trade as long as it's fair and conducted on an equitable basis.
As Africa's largest economy and most populous country, President Muhammadu Buhari said Nigeria cannot afford to rush into such agreements without full and proper consultation with relevant stakeholders. He, however, stated unequivocally that trade is important to the country.
Africa, therefore, needs not only a trade policy, but also a continental manufacturing agenda. Our vision for intra-African trade is for the free movement of made-in-Africa goods. That is, goods and services made locally with dominant African content in terms of raw materials and value addition. If we allow unbridled imports to continue, it will dominate our trade. The implication of this is that coastal importing nations will prosper while landlocked nations will continue to suffer and depend on aid.
The president attributed the nation's fundamental challenges of security, economy, and corruption to the inability of the country over the years to domesticate the production of the most basic requirements and create jobs for the vibrant, young, and dynamic population.
The African Continental Free Trade Area we aspire to have should therefore not only create wealth for investors, but also jobs and prosperity for our vibrant and hardworking citizens. The benefits of economic growth must be prosperity for the masses. Henceforth, we shall ensure that our negotiated agreements create business opportunities for Africa's manufacturers, service providers, and innovators.
President Buhari assured the committee that the report will form part of the consideration in Nigeria's decision on the next steps regarding the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, as well as broader trade integration subjects. The chairman, Technical Work Group, Mr. Desmond Gobadia, said the committee, which reviewed over 200 submissions, found out that 85% of Africa's total trade come from countries outside the continent.
The AfCFTA, therefore, provides immense opportunities for Nigeria's manufacturing and service companies to expand to Africa. Today, many Nigerian companies have developed capacity in some of these sectors and have long desired to expand to Africa, but have been constrained by trade barriers which AfCFTA is expected to remove.
The report, however, identified potential rise in smuggling as well as abuse of rules of origin as some of the major risks and undesirable impacts of the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, complicated by lack of capacity, resources, and will on the part of some African countries to enforce their borders.
Our report shows that on the balance, Nigeria should consider joining the AfCFTA and using the opportunity of the ongoing AfCFTA Phase 1 negotiations to secure the necessary safeguards required to ensure that our domestic policies and programs are not compromised.
The committee suggested that in view of the potential impact of predatory trade on the nation's economy, Nigeria should consider the mobilization of ECOWAS and AU member countries to enforce the necessary safeguards. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The Revenue Mobilisation, Allocation and Fiscal Commission has been tasked to not only expand the nation's revenue sources and block its leakages, but also ensure that the three arms and tiers of government are treated fairly and justly. President Muhammadu Buhari threw the challenge while swearing in the new chairman and commissioners of the critical organization for Nigeria's economy. Again, correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
Discharge my duties to the best of my ability.
Former Minister of State for Finance and one-time chairman of the commission, Chief Elias Mbam from Ebonyi State, returned as the new helmsman for another term of office. 29 others also took oath of office as commissioners representing the various states of the Federation. Their appointment, President Muhammadu Buhari said, was based on proven track records of hard work and integrity, hence the expectation of government that they will set to work in a business-like manner, rapidly and systematically in the execution of their mandate. He said all relevant laws and regulations on revenue collections and remittances must be applied towards boosting government's revenue sources as well as blocking leakages.
I therefore use this medium to call on the National Assembly to enact relevant and enabling laws that shall guarantee the Commission the legal ability to ensure that defaulters of revenue laws are appropriately sanctioned.
President Buhari restated federal government's commitment towards transforming the country and liberating poor Nigerians from the shackles of poverty by integrating rural economies to the national economic grid.
I set a target for our country to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in 10 years. This commitment is to further challenge the Revenue Mobilisation, Allocation and Fiscal Commission to rise to its constitutional responsibilities and mandate.
Chairman of the Commission, Elias Mbam, on behalf of the commissioners, thanked the President for finding them worthy of serving the nation and promised to do whatever it takes towards justifying the trust and confidence reposed in them.
It was very clear in the address that we should deliver on our mandate. And I think we do just that. We concentrate more effort on how to increase the size of the cake for allocation to the 3 tiers of government instead of struggling to share a shrinking cake. So the Commission will key into the diversification program of the federal government with a view to finding other sources of revenue that will increase the sources to the Federation account.
With the charge that the President has given us, we hope to look for ways and manners whereby leakages can be cut short within the revenue that accrue to the nation, and also other areas whereby we can bring in more revenues for the development of Nigeria.
What I'll bring on board is team effect, working with the chairman and other members to deliver on our mandate. And from the speech of Mr. President this afternoon, he has given a charge based on our constitutional mandate and duties. And that is where the focus will be. And I can assure you we will deliver.
The Revenue Mobilisation, Allocation and Fiscal Commission has a constitutional mandate to, amongst others, monitor accruals to and disbursement of revenue from the Federation account, review the nation's revenue allocation formula, as well as determine remunerations appropriate for political and public office holders. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In the meantime, Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and his American counterpart, Mike Pence, held discussions in the White House, with both leaders affirming the mutual benefit inherent in a deeper bilateral relationship between both countries. A statement by Laolu Akande, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Office of the Vice President, indicates that at the meeting, the two leaders who discussed economy, military assistance and other issues affirmed the need for continuous observation of the rule of law, while also noting Nigeria's pride of place on the African continent and America's reputed global leadership. They expressed commitment to continue negotiating for the release of Leah Sharibu and the remaining abducted Chibok girls. Moving on, there is currently a deliberate attempt to ensure cordial working relationship between the Nigerian police and the 9th Senate. Few days after the Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, visited the Senate President Ahmed Lawan. The chairman of the Police Service Commission, Musliu Smith, has also met with the former Commissioner of Police, Hezekiah Dimka, who is now a serving senator. They both resolved to work closely for better legislative intervention by the 9th Senate, devoid of friction.
Take us along. Keep on carrying us along. Give us the advice you think we can, use to project the interests and the peace of this country. As a policeman, retired, it's my responsibility to be sure that, security is maintained. I must be sure that there's safety of lives and property. And whatever comes out in that respect, the Senate should be able to have a word or two to be sure that we move to the next level.
Later we'll have details of it as we continue to relate. It's the area of funding of security. You don't get good security without commensurate funding. Just like even at the judiciary, yes, it needs good administration of justice, faster, swift. You have to be ready to pay for that.
Meanwhile, troops of Operation Hadarin Daji have rescued 49 kidnapped persons, neutralized 15 bandits and arrested 20 others in Zamfara State. The Force Commander, Major General Jide Ogunlade, said this at a press conference in Gusau. Jamilu Ibrahim has more.
The nomenclature of the ongoing special military operations in Zamfara State was recently changed from Operation Sharandaji to that of Hadarandaji to effectively consolidate on the gains so far recorded by the operation. The Nigerian Army says the reorganization has started yielding the desired results. Force Commander of the operation highlights the major achievements recorded by the troops within the past few days, which include rescue of 49 kidnapped persons, recovery of more than 2,000 Rasul cattle, neutralization of 15 suspected bandits, and arrest of 20 others. Other significant success recorded by the troops within the period with the interception of some trucks loaded with food items and logistics being transported to the armed bandits in the bush. The Force Commander, who advised the bandits to urgently embrace dialogue or face the full wrath of the operation, says the theater is being reorganized to meet up with the changing trends and the activities of the armed bandits.
If they want peace, let them show sign or indicate that they want peace. The only way or the only sign that they want peace is for them to cease fire and then approach us to drop their arms. Anything other than that is not acceptable.
Weapons recovered by the troops include 11 AK-47 rifles, 40 locally made guns, and more than 2,400 rounds of ammunition, motorcycles, among others. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
Nigeria has been commended for its commitment to the growth of justice and peace, both at its local level and on the international stage. President of the International Criminal Court gave the commendation in Abuja during a visit to the FCT High Court. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okeo reports.
Osuji, a Nigerian, became president of the International Criminal Court with headquarters in The Hague on the 11th of March 2018. He is in Nigeria as part of ICC's program of strengthening the various judicial arms of its 122 member nations. And he says Nigeria gives the International Criminal Court a measure of comfort based on her commitment to a strong judiciary. He singled out President Muhammadu Buhari in this direction.
Nigeria has been strongly supportive of the ICC. President Buhari's government has not minced words by saying that Nigeria stands firmly behind the ICC.
He, however, warned that no nation's democracy can grow without a strong and independent judiciary. The ICC president's visit to Nigeria takes him first to the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, where he commended the integration of alternative dispute resolution mechanisms into the civil justice system. Chief Judge of the FCT High Court, Justice Ishaq Bello said that the ICC president's visit will further boost the credibility of the Nigerian judiciary in general.
This jurisdiction has never been dragged into the public domain in any negative form because we are very, very cautious and careful about that.
This is Justice Osuji's first official visit to Nigeria since becoming president of the International Criminal Court about 2 years ago. And he expects such interactions to continue, not so much because Nigeria is his home country, but because of Nigeria's positive role on the African continent. From the FCT High Court, Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
New yellow cards in place from July 2019. More details shortly. Do stay with us. Welcome back. The people of Baranda village in Jigawa State have begun this rainy season on a sad note as flood waters wash away hundreds of farmlands after a heavy downpour on Wednesday night. Habibu Hussaini has a situation report.
Farmlands used for cultivation of rice, wheat, millet, sesame, groundnut and sorghum were submerged by water. The water, which covers over 10 kilometers, destroyed some Fulani hamlets and cut off the new access road linking Dutse, the state capital, and Burnunkudu area. The village head of the area, Malam Idris Galadima Baranda, said for decades they have never witnessed such a devastating experience, appealing to government and all the relevant agencies to come to their aid. A team of state government officials, led by the Secretary to the State Government, Adamu Abdulkadir Panini, were on assessment visit to the area.
The government will definitely come with its own assistance to the people, and then thereafter we'll make our case to the federal government, and by the grace of God, I'm sure the federal government will also assist the people.
This flood is just for today, and we are going to try and inform the villages along the way that they should be prepared for the flood so that they can do whatever they will do to prevent themselves from being affected by the flood.
Jigawa was among the states that experienced flood last year, with about 19 local government areas affected. From Dutse, Habib Hussein, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency says climate change and indiscriminate human activities are responsible for the challenges of flooding confronting the nation. Director General of the agency, Clement Nze, says 74 local government areas in the country are at high risk, going by 2019 flood prediction. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
279 local government areas are flood-prone, going by the agency's prediction for 2019. 12 local government areas in Rivers State are among the flood risk areas. The gathering of stakeholders in Port Harcourt is to review study on the flood-prone areas, mapping of the hydrological area 5, and in turn raise awareness on necessary measures to adopt.
This goes across about 30 states in Nigeria. The implication is that once we enter June, then July, August, September, anything could happen. That's the peak of rain season in Nigeria.
It took about 44 years after the reported 1968 flood disaster for another occurrence in 2012. Since after the 2012 incident, flood disaster in Nigeria has become a recurrent phenomenon. Experts say about 80% of the causative factors are traceable to human activities, calling on the government and the residents alongside key stakeholders to embark on behavioral changes.
There's a lot of human activity that is blocking the channels.
The organizers want residents to keep their drainages clean, move away from the riverbanks, take heed to all flood warnings and alerts, among other measures to stay safe. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
A new e-yellow card has been put in place to replace the old version of the yellow card with effect from 1st of July 2019. Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Abdul Aziz Mashi Abdullahi, who made the announcement recently in Abuja, revealed that the new card has enhanced security features that could be verified anywhere in the world. The introduction of the new e-yellow card, otherwise known as the International Certificate of the Vaccination, is to help address the issues of fake yellow cards, which has hitherto constituted a national embarrassment. The international travelers and 9 months of age and above must be vaccinated against yellow fever. And the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has suspended implementation of the new tariffs, which came into effect on 1st June 2019. Chairman of NAFDAC Governing Council, Inua Abdul Qadir, who made this known at a press conference in Lagos, said it was resolved that all parties affected by the new tariffs will henceforth revert to payment of the old tariffs until further notice. The move is aimed at downsing tension among industry players, and the status quo remains, while NAFDAC will continue dialogue with relevant agencies on the tariff review and other regulatory issues. The chairman said the agency will ultimately evolve separate tariffs of the over 35 million MSME operators dealing in NAFDAC regulated products, while also ensuring that they adhere strictly to extant regulations without compromise. And the 2,970 women selected positions in 2019 elections, but only 67 women were elected. Abasi Itaikwan reports on the National Conference on Women's Participation in Politics, which is strategizing for a better outing in the 2023 general elections.
Shows that for the first time in Nigeria, 2,970 women stood for in 2019 elections. Regrettably, women say the outcome of the election was very disappointing, as only 4.5% of these women were elected. This is the reason for this national conference.
So we are going to look at the activities of INEC, the civil society, the media, political parties, all the stakeholders, and to see what they didn't do to support women.
And it's really important that we do it now, because the memory and the experiences are still fresh. What worked, what didn't work, and what should be done differently.
The wife of the president, Aisha Buhari, who was represented, said she is negotiating with Nigerian leaders to allocate a quota to women where they can contest with themselves, and a woman is sure to emerge a winner.
She is a voice that has been crying out to see that women take their rightful place.
Call it a stock-taking moment. You won't be wrong. As the women took time to x-ray themselves, told themselves the truth, as well as strategize for 2023 elections.
But I'm going to call on women not to relent. We need our quota in the government.
The downward trend of women in elective and appointed positions in the country, speakers say, is a cause of concern, with hopes of getting there someday and very soon. Basi Taipan, NTA News.
And now to sports. Emmanuel Emenike's Tanzania is to face AFCON elimination as debutants Madagascar inch closer to round of 16. Details with Victor Azu on AFCON Update. And that's it on Panorama for the week. Thanks for watching. I am Fatima Marbuba.